Right then, so we've got that. So this is a bit lighter. We're going to build this up, but we've got to get this, like I said, with this one here, what we did up here when we mixed the colours, we're doing more or less the same here. I'm going from blue to a violet. Okay, and then we've got this. Don't want it as a line, so what I'm doing is I'm just putting a little bit more pressure on there, just around that edge of where the shadow part is there on the face. Okay, and then I'm coming round this side and I'm going just into the blue with this Mars Violet, and then coming out again, following that direction of which way the skin is going. And this comes down here quite a bit. Okay, and then pull off the pressure, lighten it off a bit there. So we've got mid pressure here, just going into the blue, like that. And then it comes away into a lighter pressure, because that's when it starts to go into a skin tone. Okay, and then just as we come up here, it gets darker. Right, so that's that bit. And then I'm going to use the taupe now, because up here is really dark. So what I need to do is I need to make this a bit, so I'm going to use the taupe and I'm going up into that blue area there, and I'm going over the top, so I'm darkening that off. And then as we come out here, I'm going to put a bit more medium pressure to light pressure on here, and again just pull it off as we come out, and then all the way across there, pull off pressure as you're coming out there, back to a bit of a medium pressure there, like that. Okay, and then round this section here, so with the taupe we can actually darken this little bit off here, so sort of do some small circular motions on each side. Okay, and we can darken that off again a bit more. Okay, so this bit here, so just keep looking at your reference photograph, and then you'll see this is quite light sort of shadow area, and then it gets darker as it comes round here, so we can put a little bit more pressure on there, like that, and then we've got this light section in the middle. Okay, so just circular motions, filling in that, just go over it a couple of times. It's darker here, and it seems to come into this, just here is a little bit lighter, but right on the edge here it's quite dark. So you need to put a little bit more pressure on there, and then just pull the pressure, lift the pressure off, keep turning your pencil, and you'll start to see how you build this darker section up there. So now I'm just going to get, so I'm actually going to blend this with my Flesh Pink, because it's really light and it's very much similar to the paper colour. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to back over on this shadow area with the flesh tone, cross partly into the blue, and what it's doing is smoothing out that paper again a little bit more. Okay, and as I say, this is going to be coming into a flesh tone, so it's going to go back over there all the way across where you've put this shadow area. Just use your flesh tone just to sort of blend it in there. Just coming up to that edge of the paper there. Okay, so we need the blue to be a little bit darker there. It's not quite dark enough. So I'm going to actually use the ocean blue. Yep. So I'm pulling this ocean blue down here a little bit more and into this shadowed area just as we come round here. Okay, so I'm just darkening that section off here in this corner a little bit more. Okay, and then as you come up here, just put a little bit more pressure in there. And then as we come out here, just pull it off slightly. That's better. Okay, and then into that darker area. Now just get your buff titanium again, and then come back over, blending these all together. So you're now getting this nice smooth texture on there, and then over this shadow area here. Okay, So it's now starting to look a bit smoother. Okay, there. So if we get these eyebrows in, we may need to darken it. I think we need to darken it a little bit there. So just before we do put the shadows in, let's use the Midnight Black. And let's just darken up. So I'm not going to use I think the eyelid is quite dark there, but we need to darken to give that 3D effect. This underneath the eye now is coming away, so we need to darken that slightly. So I'm just coming across and down this side here where it's really shadowed. So I'm putting some of the Midnight Black in, so you can see it's really darkening it up now. But we'll still see the black over the top. Okay, and then I'm just putting light pressure and I'm just glazing over the rest of that blue there. So it's just a light glaze. You can see it's not really affecting that lighter blue, but it's just a nice blue glaze. Okay, right then. So now you can see how the structure of this eyelid is starting to come out. So now we need to put in some eyelashes. So as I expressed on the top eyelashes, how we come out and under. So if you look at the bottom eyelashes, now they don't come, so what you're going to need is a black, sharp, and they actually come from the edge of this eyelid here, so on the outer edge of the eyelid, and they come over and down, and these do cross over, and if you look at them, the bottom eyelashes seem to be in clumps, little clumps. They're not as long as the top eyelashes, they're very sparse here, and then obviously you lose them in the shadows here. But yes, they're not as long, and they're in smaller clumps, and you sort of come out and over. So again, you're not doing a straight line like that, it's a bit like an out and over like that. Okay, so what I tend to do is I would normally turn my work upside down, and what I would do is I would put it on and push it out like that. So I would work upside down. But if you prefer to work that way, you can do it that way. Right then, so let me have a look. We've only got a few on this side. You're not going to see them as much as what you can see them on. So that's them on that side. And then this side, you can see them a lot more. Okay, so we're doing this side first. So you're best off, just doing it and just randomly so that they cross over each other. And then obviously they get shorter as they come down this side here. And then right at this end, they're sort of non-existent as such. You still want a couple in there. Okay, so I've got those in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to darken the blue up again. So I can go over the black, it's not going to make that much difference. I'm just going to use the Ocean Blue. In fact, I'm going to use the Ocean Blue Dark. I've got one that's slightly darker. Where are we? Ocean Blue Dark. Okay, and I'm looking at my reference photograph there, and I just need it to be a little bit darker here. And I may even put a little bit of the Mars. So I'm just going over there. I'm going over the black. The black will still stand out. So it's mainly up at this top end of the where the blue makeup is. Okay, come across there. Circular motions, but again, following the direction. Okay, let's darken it up a little bit. And then what I may do is the Mars Violet, just to give it that bit of shadowy look. So all I'm doing with this is I'm just glazing. I'm not really putting much colour down at all. I'm just very lightly glazing over, just so it takes some of the sharpness off and dulls it down a little bit as it goes into this shadowy area there. Okay, and then just going to pull that back up here. I'm just going to put a little bit more of that Mars Violet on there. There we go. So that's now the blue eyeshadow section. So let me zoom out a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. Whoops. There. So when it's zoomed out, you can actually see now how the shadow comes in there. Then we've got this blue. you've got the eyelid, so now we're coming down into this skin tone. Okay, so we'll just start, we'll just build a little bit of this skin tone down here, and then we'll go back up here and we'll do the eyebrow and then finish off. Okay, so let me just zoom back in again to this area here. So to get us started, I am actually going to use, I'm going to use the Flesh, I've got the Flesh Pink. As I say, it's very much, it's like a creamy colour, it's got a hint of pink. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to put a quick base coat down here. So I'm using large circular motions, but very light pressure. Keep pulling it down in the direction. So it's coming in that direction. Okay. And it comes sort of away on there at that side. So it's just a very light, it's light pressure all over there, because this is going to be where the cheekbone starts. So this is where the light's going to hit it, and then we're going to get some darker tones around here. I mean, they are going to be mid-tones compared to the shadow areas, but they're going to be darker. But if we just put this base coat, the Flesh Pink there, then we've got that down. So if we do go a bit too dark to start with, we can always go back, because we've got this nice light base coat. Okay, so I can see where that base coat is. It's hard to distinguish, but I can see it when I'm hearing the flesh, as they say. So now I'm going to go up the top. I'm using the same colour. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking it from there, and I'm just going to go up this section here first. So I'm going to use the same colour, the Flesh Pink. Put my paper there. I'm leaving my pencil lines for the eyebrow, because there's a lot of dark colour going in there, and it's quite light pressure, so you can't really see it that much. So I'm doing, again, light pressure, large circular. I'm just going to go past, a bit further past the area to where I'm going to be working. Okay. And I'm just putting a nice base coat down, so you can go over it a couple of times. It's just really to put a bit of something down into the grooves of the paper, and if you're looking for a base coat, you want something that's going to be sort of equivalent to your lightest colour on your reference photograph. I mean, I often use, with colour pencils, if I'm doing animals, I often use a warm grey one and a cool grey one. When it comes to skin tones, it's a different matter. I can use ivory or a buff titanium, or there's in the luminance section there's a nice pink white, which is very, very light. It's got a pink hint to it, which is a little bit like this one of the Light Fast, which is a Flesh Pink, but it's really quite creamy. So if we get that down, so we've got our base layer. Okay, I'll just fetch it down the side of this nose area here. I don't know if you can see, if I zoom back out now, you might be able to just see where we've actually got this base layer, but it comes all the way there, right up to the edges of where I've put the margins in. But there. So let's come back in here now. So we're going to finish off, to start, we're going to finish off this bit of the, so we've got a little bit of the eyeshadow still there, into the skin tones, and then we've got this eyebrow. Okay. So let me get my piece of paper. I've just dropped on the floor. I'm going to get the, so we've got the majority of the eyeshadow down, so we're actually coming out of that into lighter colours. So as we're coming out of it, I would use probably a little bit of the autumn red, apricot, probably a bit of fossil grey, sandstone. And then it's going to be going up into these pink tones. So the darker pink tones that I'm going to be using are going to be the cinnamon. So if you look here, I'm going to use the cinnamon, dusky pink, and into these taupe and Mars violet sort of colours there. Okay, so let me just get a little bit of this cinnamon down, because this is sort of the skin tone that's here at the top, but it's the darker skin tone just there. So it's a little bit darker. So if we start and get that down, so we can go into the eyebrow area and pull it down. So it's going in that direction there. So we can go across into the eyebrow area. Okay. So I'm just gonna, so I'm picking up where we left the eyeshadow off, and this is sort of a second base coat coming up into this eyebrow area here. In fact, I'm going to go right to the top here because this is going to disappear anyway. So I'm pulling that down here. I see where my eyebrows are going to be, so I can go just into the eyebrows there. So I'm using light pressure and I'm using large circular motions because that's going to be covered with a lot of the eyebrows. So I'm just coming up, so you've got to be aware of where this eyebrow starts. Okay, so I'm just going to pull that round there a little bit. So if you look carefully, you've got this darker pink just coming out of the eyebrow here, but on light pressure. So what I'm doing here is I'm just continuing using the cinnamon, but very light pressure. So I'm sort of coming over where the eyebrow area is and just up the other side. Because obviously the eyebrows throw out a bit of shadow onto the skin. So I'm really just covering the eyeshadow area and just on the outskirts of it with some of this cinnamon. So it's a slightly darker colour to the light flesh colour. Okay, same direction as what you can see the eyebrow coming. So it's going to come right up there and it's going to come off the paper here. Okay. About there. That's where it's going to get a little bit lighter then. Okay. Right then, so I'm going to pick up the apricot first. Light pressure, fairly well back on the barrel. And I'm using smaller circular motions now because I want a smoother edge. So I'm coming up sort of, and then I'm just now, all I'm doing now is sort of coming out over the, just over the where we finished the edge of the eyebrow colour there. Okay. So it's very light pressure. And then with the cinnamon again, I'm coming back over from the cinnamon, coming down from where the eyebrow starts into that cinnamon, and I'm trying to make a nice transition of colour from that into there. Okay. Okay, so that's going to be all eyebrow there. Okay, and then I'm just going to use, because we need to make sure we've still got a little bit of this red in there. So again, light pressure with the red over the apricot. That's where it goes into the shadow area there. This is coming up into the skin tone. So it's just lighter pressure. We're just getting a lighter colour as we come up there. And then back to the cinnamon. And then go over all of that with the cinnamon. So you're blending it with the lightest colour, which is your cinnamon skin tone. It's the lightest skin tone in this area anyway. Okay. Circular motions. I'm using medium pressure now. Okay. Okay, so all this is going to be eyebrow here. Okay, so you can see now you've got this dark bit coming out, so that's the eye coming over, and then we've got this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to use the buff titanium and sort of blend all of that, smooth it all out, so it'll give it a lot smoother look. Okay, circular motion, sort of medium pressure. Still want to be able to put colour on it if we need to. So this is going to lighten it off a bit, but it's going to blend these colours nicely into. So all those colours now look like it's a seamless blend. Okay, I may need to darken it off a little bit in a minute. So in fact, what I'm going to do is, where's the, right, so I've got the salmon. So just in this bit here as we're coming back out, just before we hit the cinnamon. I've got this bit of salmon, so it's just a slightly different hue to the cinnamon. It blends that sort of apricot and the red away into the skin tone a lot better. Okay, right, clear off any dust marks. Right, so that's now starting to look a little bit better. So let me zoom out a little bit and then blend that out there a bit. Wait till it, right. So now we've got base coat here. So what we need to do now is get these eyebrows in, and it will start to take shape. So eyebrows. Have a look at these eyebrows. So the eyebrows are the different browns. So we've got a natural brown. So we've got a natural brown, and have a look. Put a little bit of the burnt sienna in. And I would actually put in a little bit of the taupe as well. If you look, you've got like a bit of a shadowy colour there coming out into this skin tone as well. And we've got a few flashes of light colour. So if you want the light colour, you could again use an embossing tool. So if we look, we've got a couple there, there and there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to literally... It's not going to be perfectly white, they're just going to be lighter. So I'm just going to put a couple in there. Right, that's it. I've just done that with the embossing tool. What you could do, you could put them in later with gel pen, but I find they'd be a bit too harsh. Or you could build the layers up and use your ceramic knife and just take them out that way. The choices are quite, you know, up to you. You can do whatever you feel comfortable doing. Everybody will find their own way, but let's just get the eyebrows in. So, so what I'm going to sharpen is, I'm going to sharpen up my taupe, and then my natural brown. Let's have a look, what else is there any? And then just up at the top here, I might use a little bit of the midnight black, just to add a few darker tones in as we're coming out of the paper, because it's on shadow again. So I'm just sharpening up all the pencils that I'm going to use. So you can use a variety of browns in here. They're quite warm browns, to be honest. I think the lady's quite fair-haired. I think she's a dark-haired lady, so she's going to have sort of warm-toned eyebrows rather than the black eyebrows. Okay, so let's have a look. So these are the colours. So I've actually got a bit of Venetian red, natural brown, Mars violet and taupe. I may not use them all, but they're the colours I'm going to have in my hand ready to use. Okay, so we're going to start. So eyebrows are a little bit like doing the eyelashes. They've got a direction, so obviously they're going in this direction here. They are more boxed off, but again, if you look, you've got them going in different directions, and up here you've got some shorter ones at the top. So don't just do one length. You've got quite long ones in there, but put some short ones in first, and then build your colours up. And don't forget, keep looking at light and dark areas. So use your colours to help you create the light and dark areas. So what I'm going to start with this taupe colour first. So right where this shadow is, I'm going to start here, okay? And I'm literally just going to put in, so I'm going to put some little short ones there. You've got a couple coming out there. So it starts sort of here. So you can see what I do is I'm holding the pencil quite far down, sharp point, pencil on there, push and lift, push and lift. Keep turning your pencil, some little ones like that. Follow where you want the eyebrow to go. Keep a check on how deep the eyebrow is as well. So you can always do it in proportion with your eye. So if you look sort of, it's sort of about the same, yeah, it's about the same as the pupil. So if you sort of do it like that, then you know you're going to get it quite well in proportion. Okay, so I'm just doing small and then some midlines. All the time looking at the reference photograph. So it comes up here. You've got a few that come out, don't forget these, you've got some that come out obviously growing a bit further down into your flesh areas there, so they're sort of just small ones and they want to be in a lighter colour, so use the taupey colour, or the Mars Violet, and then when you come into where the eyebrow really starts, then obviously you put more strokes and closer together. Okay, oops, that one's a bit harsh, so let me just, I'm using my eraser. This is what I mean, I do these videos they're done live, they're not sort of rehearsed or anything, so if I make a mistake you'll see me do it and you'll see me rectify. That's better. Okay, so I'm coming up here now, so I can see that it comes off the reference chart there. So we've got some bigger ones coming up that way and then the rest of them. So I've moved my hold on my pencil now to further back just so I can get the variety on these hairs. Okay. And we've done the bit of skin tone coming out, so that's fine. So we will be filling all of this in. So that's me with the taupe for now. So now I'm going to move on to, I think I'm going to choose the natural brown for now. So again, so this time this is the darker, so I'm looking where all the darker sections are. And then, so I've got one coming loose over there. So it's not going to match the reference photo totally, but I'm going to get it as near as I can. So along this bottom area, you can see it's quite darker. There's a lot of the darker hairs here, and then also as we come off of here. But you've got these light sections in between. Okay. And you can see some of these lighter areas. I don't know if you can see these. These are where I did the indentation. So the more colour you put on them, they will stick out. But like I say, if you need to, you could always do a gel pen later. Again, put some little odd hairs, finer hairs here, and then now she has on the reference photograph, we have got some blonde hairs coming across. Well, we'll deal with them right at the end. We'll probably use an eraser to take them out rather than, or you could again use a gel pen to put them in. Okay, I'd rather just do it with an eraser. Okay, so coming down here. So you can see now they're thickening up and they're getting darker. This is a bit I actually find quite therapeutic. It's just so relaxing. So where the areas are quite darker, you just sort of put in more strokes and closer together. Okay, so what I might do now is actually put a little bit of Venetian red in, and then I'm going to put a bit of black in actually, just to give it a little bit of a darker. Oops, a bit too much pressure on there. So you can see by putting all the different tones of the browns and that in, you do get a much more, you get more depth in there. Now I'm using the black more as a shading, just to fill in some of those gaps. And then here I just want it quite dense and dark. Okay. Okay. then I'm just going to put in some of these loose bits of hair that, like I say, you know, eyebrows are never perfect. Mind you, I suppose today you can pay and have them done perfect, but if you want that natural look. So if we just zoom back out again now. So now you can see it's starting to take shape a little bit. Zoom back in and you can see where I did the little indentations. Okay, so if you think they're a little bit too much, you can always get a sharper point of a pencil, fill some of them in. Okay. That. So this section here's got a bit more dark in it. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just actually going to glaze over using the Flesh Pink, believe it or not, just to, so it's only glaze. Okay. That will smooth it all out a little bit. There we go. So that smooths it in a little bit more into the, okay, like that. There we go. Right then, so let me zoom back out a little bit more now. So now you can see where the light's hitting. So that's the bone. If you look, if you feel your own eyebrows, you've got a bone there. So obviously that is protruding out. So that's going to get the light. So when the light hits it, it's going to, you know, that's going to stand out. So we've used the colours and we've just blended from the darker colours up into these lighter bits that have now disappeared into the eyebrow. So you've got a nice, smooth, clean effect. Okay, and we've got the eyeshadow on underneath, so let us just now do a few varying skin tones. So there's not a lot on this top section. It's quite light here, but we have got a little hint of a pinkier colour here. So that's what we need to do, and then go back out into this lighter flesh colour. So just clear all this off with dust. So the colours I'm looking at are, I've got dusky pink, we've got the salmon, we've got the cinnamon, and we've got the light flesh. Right then, so I'm just going to sharpen some of these up. Okay. So again, you've got to look at the light hitting the reference photograph, so where you're going to have light, where you're not going to have light. So we will be blending some of these colours, but we've got to make them look a seamless blend. Okay. So, nice sharp pencils. Okay. So it's quite pinky round here, coming out into a lighter, it's still greyish. I mean, when you see the full reference photograph, it's really light over this side, so you can see it's not quite as light there. Excuse me. So what I'm going to take is, I'm going to take this dusky pink, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually just going to, I'm glazing over some of this eyebrow and then fetching it up over the top here so that it's a seamless. So it's light pressure and circular motions coming out from the eyebrow just to give that extra tone there. Okay. Keep doing that, keep checking your reference photograph because it's going to come out here as well. So come round and then it comes all the way up to this top section here where we've drawn the border, and we can pull it out and then just ease off the pressure here so it gets a bit lighter. Okay. And then we can switch then to the, let's have a look, we'll go to the salmon colour. Over that a little bit more. It's got a little bit more of a pinky tone to it, which is probably a better. So that puts a bit more shadow around this eyebrow section. And then we're going to go with the Flesh Pink which was the base coat, but we're just putting more on. So we're actually going to do it a bit tighter now with the circles. Okay. Come down this side here, and we can lift up a little bit because we've got that rest of that to do in a bit. So then I'm going to get the buff titanium, and now I'm just literally going to blend this in a little bit. And there. So you can see we have got, so if I zoom in, we have got some tonal. It's very, very small, the tonal values, but it's there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just literally going to take the natural brown, and I'm just going to go back into the eyebrow and just pull a few little loose stray hairs out there. Okay, get that natural look back again. There, and then I'm just going to take the flesh pink now, and I'm going to literally, so I'm putting on medium to a stronger pressure. I'm just literally going to, so I'm trying to burnish it sort of into a smooth, keep blowing away your dust. So the tighter you do your circles here, it does actually pull it all together and gives you a smoother. But as I say, you do need a smooth paper really for doing skin tones to get that smooth effect. If that's what you're looking for, you might be looking for a bit more of a textured feel to the skin. Right, zoom back out. So that's what we've got at the moment. Okay. So let's come back down here now and let's see what we can do on this side. So let me just zoom in just a little bit more here. Right. So we can see where we've got all this. That's looking nice. If you want to add a bit more to it, you can do by putting in the gel pen. So looking at this underneath bit here, so we have got a little bit more work here. We've got the shadow area here. This goes into sort of a reddier area, so we can use some of the colours from the eye makeup so it'll all blend in. And then we've got some shadow skin here and some more pinky areas. This is the lighter section, and then as we just as we're coming down this bottom area here, it is darkening off a little bit more. And then we've got this darker section coming off into the nose. Right then, so let's just clean all this off. Okay, I hope you're all enjoying this so far. As I say, just stop it, replay it. If you've got any questions whatsoever, you can always give me a call. I'm always available on my mobile, which is 0777 166 446, or you can just email me through the website or email me through deliasart2912@gmail.com. Any questions whatsoever, I'm quite happy to answer and help in any way that I can. Okay, that's what I'm here for. So I'm just going to tidy up some of these eyelashes here at the bottom. Okay, that's better. There we go, we can see them a little bit more now. Right then, so I'm going to start with the flesh pink again. This is the lightest colour. So I'm doing my base coat now. So I'm coming out from this taupe. I'm just going to literally fill this area. So I'm going over with a second coat. We've done one coat with the base colour. I'm just going to do another one just to smooth it out a little bit more. When I'm doing actual portraits, I sometimes do the base coat 2 or 3 times just to make sure that we've got quite a bit of the pigment in to the paper so it's a bit smoother. And as I say, using oily pencils, you can use the paper torsions a little bit more to just smooth the colour around a little bit so it does look a little bit smoother. And then obviously you can do that on several layers. Keep smoothing it out a little bit more so it looks a bit more like a photographic type. It's more like paint rather than very grainy. And then you can always put the wax pencils on the top. So I'm just gonna, let me clean that. I didn't clean it, that was naughty. So a little bit of the tissue. And if you've got a little bit too much on there, you just get a bit of a knife and just pull off some bits. There we go. So that's now nice and clean again now. Get rid of that. And then it's hard to see at this stage because we're using such a light colour, but it's worth doing because what it's doing is just nicely smoothing out some of that colour. Okay. The other thing is it's pulling little bits of it in from here, so you're getting this, which looks a bit grainy, but when you look on the skin, that's what you do. You do actually have, under the eyes especially, you do get these little bits of area that look like grainy, and it's just the skin. And obviously as you get older, it gets a bit more wrinkly. It's just when you're younger, you need it smoother. So just right. So that's now smoothed out a little bit. So now I'm going to look at the colours. So we've got to go from this darker colour here, and I'm just going to put a little bit of red on this side, just so we're ready for moving into there a little bit. So them two areas, oops, these two areas here. So we've got a little bit of red here, Venetian red. We've got the taupe and the Mars violet there and here. So these are the shadow colours that we've used in all of the photo, in all of the reference. So we can use those in that colour there. We've got a very fine bit of taupe colour down here. And then this will be the lighter area. So then we've got to mix all those colours in and make them look like a smooth blend. Okay, so we've done the flesh pink to start, but we'll need that again in a bit. I've got the taupe, I've got the Mars. I'm going to use the buff titanium a little bit, I think. I've got the Venetian red. Where's my Venetian red? Natural browns there. Right, so I've got the Venetian red, and I might use the dusky pink or even cinnamon. No, in fact, no, it's a bit. It's going to be a bit cooler, so I'm going to use the salmon. Right then, so we'll start just here. So I'm looking now at these shadow areas. Okay, so we've got to come down here with a shadow and then lighten it off as we come round. So we've got this sort of darker section here, then we've got a bit of a light section, and then back into a darker section there, which turns into a reddy colour. So we'll start with the dusky pink, I think, and then go over. So I'm going to follow this line down. Okay, so let me move this up a little bit here. So I'm following this line, which is from the edge of the nose down. So this will serve as the sort of lighter colour in the shadow area. So I'm just marking that in with some shading motion there for now. Okay. And then right on the line, I'm going to use the taupe on this side of it. So it's just on this side, and I'm just like small circular motions, but what I'm doing is I'm putting a bit of pressure on at that end and then pulling it off as I'm coming out to this side. Okay. Like that. Keep turning the pencil point so you're getting, and then this way you don't get a completely too straight a line, because we don't want that either. Okay. And then just on this side of where we've put this lighter dusky pink, I've moved the hole to further back, still using the same colour. And what I'm doing is I'm doing a lighter pressure, and I'm looking at my reference photograph all the time. So that starts, it sort of disappears here, and then it gets a little bit wider as it comes around here. And then that comes up into this shadow area here a little bit, so we can sort of So it's circular motions, light pressure, and then as you come down here, fetch it in towards here, and then it just fades away on this side here. Okay, so we've mapped it in roughly there, and as I say, the pink is this area. So I'm going to put a little bit more pressure on here on the pink, so I know where that is. So it's a slightly different tone, different hue, should I say, and that is going to play the part of this light section here. Okay, and then just on the other side of this taupey line, I'm going to put a little bit of Venetian red. Okay, so coming up, it starts from about here. So I'm just doing light pressure, coming on this side of where I've put the taupe, and then it thins out a little bit there, it's not as obvious there. Okay, so we're just mapping these colours in at the moment, so you'll see them a lot clearer on your picture. So, and then what I'm going to do is I've noticed this thing goes into a pinkier colour. So where the Mars Violet is, I'm just actually putting a little bit of the dusky pink lightly over it there. And then we'll go back over the top. But this time we use the Mars Violet. Okay. So the Mars Violet's got a bit more of a pinky tone with it anyway, so it's got a violetty tone, whereas the taupe is more grey. So, oops, I'm now starting to put on medium pressure because I'm coming from this area into here and I'm trying to blend that in. And then it just gets lighter as we come out towards as the outer areas into the lighter skin. So what you're doing is circular motions there, blend that in with that. So that's sort of a medium pressure, and then lift your pressure as you're coming out. So it's really, really light. So in other words, you've no weight really through the pencil at all when you come into this area. And then as you're coming back into where it's getting a little bit darker, you just put on that little bit more pressure. Not a lot, just a little bit. And lift it off. Okay, so you can see it's now building up bit by bit. I'm just going to go back in here, sort of right on the edge of this with the taupe, like that, and then right on the other side of where the pink is, I'm going to put a bit more of the taupe that's going into the Mars Violet. So these two colours are really, really, really similar, and on the camera they might look the same, but they're not. There are slight differences with them, and you'll see it as you build it up, but it just takes time. Okay, so back to the Mars Violet. So I'm going from the taupe to the Mars Violet, just building these colours up using the same amount of pressure each time, but because it's putting a bit more pigment down each time, it's blending them in. So you don't need to, it's not about putting more pressure through your pencil, it's just the number of layers that you're using. Okay, so from that Venetian red, I'm just gonna put in some of the dusky pink. So as we come out this side, it's going to be a bit more pinky. Okay, so I'm going to over the Venetian red into this nosy area with the dusky pink. Okay, and then we can pick that up in the next video when we start to do a bit more of the colour in here. Okay. Right, so first of all I'm going to go over with the buff titanium. So I'm going to over that blue again, over everything that we've got there, because I need it all to sort of blend into one. So it all looks like a nice seamless blend as we're coming round here. That'll need darkening up. So let me just get the taupe, because it just looks like a line at the moment, so it needs... So I need blending out a little bit there, which is that. So if we use the taupe and come over that line a little bit here, it's going to soften that line off a little bit, so it's not quite as harsh a line there. Okay, so that softened that off there a lot. Right then, so back to the titanium, the buff titanium. That needs to come down, that's better. It needs to just follow that line there, join that up, that's better. So buff titanium across all of this, so it'll just soften it all out a little bit. So it's circular motions, but following sort of medium pressure. Now that taupe pencil and the Mars Violet, it does put pigment in sort of, and this is why I think I like it for this sort of skin, this area, because like I say, it does give you little creases here, and it's just the pigment's a bit grainy on these pencils there, but it seems to be working in our favour for this piece, so I'm not knocking it. So it's the first time I've really used these pencils, so I'm learning as well. Okay. So now we're just doing this. So this is the dusky pink now. So I'm coming back out with the pinks. Okay, so I can go back over in there because that was a dusky pink. There. And then we've got sort of this area here. So if I can draw a line. So that area there is where we're going to also have some colour. And then we've got a colour. And then the rest of this is going to be really light. So it's a bit like we did a cat's eye where we did the highlight in sort of a yellow. So when you first did the highlight, it was like, oh, it looks darker than the actual paper. But by the time we'd finished and built all the tones up, the highlight stood out as though it was white. So it's the trick of putting light colours down and then putting darks next to them to make the lighter areas pop. But they don't have to be white. It's very rare you'll see white anywhere, pure white. I mean, there's no real such colour as pure white. So it's just learning to use other colours as well. Right, dust off. So I'm just going to now get the flesh, which is the lightest, the colour, the light skin tone colour. So I'm now going to come out of here with that. Again, layering up again there. Okay. So I'm just going to do it in tighter, smaller circular motions, just so that the blend looks a bit smoother. I think with the polychromos and the luminance I get it a little bit smoother, but as I say, it's the first time I've used these pencils, so probably, you know, a couple more pieces and I'll be able to work with them a little bit better. It's just finding out how they work at the moment. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and I'm going to pick up I've got the cinnamon now. I'm just going to pull a little bit of the cinnamon from that colour. Oops. So again, light, very light pressure, and I'm just sort of pulling into this lighter area now. So it's going from this purpley shadow tone to a pinky tone. Okay, and then into the really light area of the skin. So again, just light pressure to pull it off so that it blends there. And then coming across here, I'm going to put a little bit more pressure on here because I want this to get darker. So it's about there. It sort of darkens up a little bit. Then lift the pressure again there. Come down, and then we've got a little bit more pressure here in this bottom corner. Let me just move that slightly up there a bit. So I've got a little bit more pressure here in this corner here. Okay, and pull that round to meet that. So you've got sort of like you've circled the lighter area, but it's done gently. So, and then what we need to do is just darken up these sections here. So we could use the Mars Violet here a little bit more. So I'm coming out from this blue. Light pressure, holding the pencil quite far back. There we go. A little bit more pressure here, and then pull it out again as we come down here a little bit. There we go. You see what I mean? It makes it a little bit grainy, this Mars Violet, but it works quite well. And then I'm just going to pull that a little bit down this bottom area here, and then let it just blend away up there. Okay, so it's right in this corner, but not much, just a little bit there in the corner. And then I need a pinky colour. Right, so I've got the dusky pink, because we've got here, coming out from this dark, we've got quite a pinky area, so I'm just going to put a little bit more pressure on there. So I'm going over the Mars Violet now and coming out with a dusky pink, and then just lift that pressure off as we're coming out here, because this is where the cheekbone starts to lighten out. So, and then just put a little bit more pressure on them there. Okay. And then again out of here. So we're coming out from this shadowy colour and just making sure we've got this hint around the edge of a pink. So using the dusky pink, and then pull the pressure off as we come around here. Okay. And then the same here, like that. Okay, so now we need to get this all blended in. So now I'm going back to my titanium white, or buff titanium should I say, sorry. I've used the buff titanium because it's not quite bright white. Let me get rid of some of this dust, that's better. Okay. So we've got quite a few bits of the lighter shadow area, or the lighter pinks, around the outside of this and coming into this shadow area here. And then we've made this section a little bit smaller, which was the flesh pink. Okay. Come around there, shade that in there a little bit. Around there. Circular motions, right. And that's now blended in, so take that off there. Okay, so let's just, if we go up to this highlight on the nose, if you look here, you've got this highlight here on the nose. Okay, so I'm going to leave that as the white of the paper for now. Okay, so let me just get rid of some of that. So I know where the line is, so what I'm going to do is I'm using the dusky pink. Yeah, I'll use the dusky pink, that's a bit more, and the cinnamon. So I'll start with the cinnamon. So coming out from here, where we've just been, this is where the sort of highlight of the area is. So I'm just doing some very light layers. Again, just get rid of the dust. Yep. So I'm just going to come up here, so I'm using light layers. I'm using a shading motion here, because this bit of the nose is a little bit pinker, so I'm not bothered about putting a buff titanium base coat. I want this to stand out. This has got to stand out a little bit more than this, but not too much. It's not a totally different colour. So I just want to, so I'm just putting a light cinnamon up here. Okay, making it disappear there. This is where this bit here, or this bit here, is going to be very light, so that's going to be my light flesh tone. And then here I'm just going to put on a little bit now of the dusky pink where we've just been with the cinnamon, and then release it as we get here. Okay, so we're just putting these light pinky areas in right on the edge of the nose, sort of as we're coming down the bridge of the nose. Okay, and everybody assumes the nose stops there, but it doesn't. It comes right up into your forehead. Okay, so now I'm going to use, I've got the flesh pink again. So now I'm picking up here, and I'm just going to continue with this fleshy pink. So these are the base coats again for this area. So I'm just going to start and build some of these in, getting ready for the next video. Okay, so I'm doing it in shading motion, loose circular motions really, just to get across here. Okay. Okay, down, and I'm just going to go across where we've just been with the other colours. I'm just going to go over, glaze over with this Flesh Pink. Okay. And then just at the other side of this highlight, I'm going to put the Flesh Pink as well. Then when we blend that away with the Buff Titanium, we should get the highlight that we need. Okay, so just coming up there, and then again back with the Flesh Pink. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there for today. So let me zoom out a little bit now, see what we've accomplished today. So pull it back out. So now you can see we've got this area done here, the eyebrows we've got, and we've got this area here. Now looking at it, I think we do need to probably, before we go, I'm just going to darken that up a little bit more with this dusky pink. So just coming up from the eyebrow into this top part of the head, the forehead, I'm just going to do some small circular motions, and I'm just building this pinky area up a little bit more here, because it's quite pinky looking at it now. It's might not quite pinky enough. This is what I say, you're better off going lighter rather than darker, because you can always darken it back up, whereas it's harder to lighten it up. So let me have a look. What other colour? What we've got here, that's a cinnamon. Okay, so I'm just going to darken this up a little bit here with the cinnamon. It's better. Okay, and then I've just noticed coming out here we need a little bit more. I'm just going to go over this little bit here with the cinnamon a little bit more. And I'm actually going to just glaze over that pink, the lighter area there. It's just a little bit too, needs to blend a little bit more, so it doesn't need to be as prominent. Okay, so using the cinnamon. Okay, that's better. And then that cinnamon comes around here a little bit. That's better. And then again, just use the dusky pink. So it's just messing about with your pinks there, just to the different tones of pink, blending them so that they do blend eventually. They blend away into this middle section. So as you can see, this middle section then will look a lot more highlighted. So I'm just going to go over with the Buff Titanium and pull it out into these nice pink areas here, soft these pinker areas off and into the highlighted area here. Okay, and the same at the top, just blend that away with the Buff Titanium. So there we go for now. That's where we're at. So you can see now it's starting to come together like a face, and you can tell this is a highlighted area. You've got this nice bit of highlight on the eyebrow, but with the eyeshadow in. We've got this nice effect here with the by using the embossing tool. So we've got the little bits with the skin. So the next time we take it up, we're just going to come across here, get this blue in, and get it. This will be the last one. So video 4 will be the last video for this project. Okay, and then we can move on and look at another project. If you've got ideas for projects that you want me to do, sort of animals or you know, anything really, then either message me, as I say, or phone me, and I'll look into it. And I'm quite happy to do a video and tutorial on it step by step. And as I say, any suggestions that you've got, or how we can improve the service, then that's fine. I'm quite happy to listen to it. As I say, I'm just starting off with this, so I'm fairly new to it myself. I do want to make it work, and I want people to be able to enjoy the video, so any feedback is welcome. So enjoy the video, just keep stopping it and replaying it, and as I say, any questions, do not hesitate to ask. Alright then, thank you very much for watching, and get creative. Thank you, bye.